There were nights when fear seized me so strongly. I thought I would not live until morning. These are not the words of a man merely recounting a bad dream, they are the raw, visceral confession of Charles Spurgeon, the esteemed prince of preachers, a man whose voice resonated with the power of the divine, yet who himself wrestled with the chilling grip of overwhelming fear. It is easy to perceive such figures through a lens of unshakable faith, as if their spiritual lives were a placid lake, undisturbed by the tempests that buffet ordinary souls. But the truth, as Spurgeon so bravely revealed, is far more profound and, in its honesty, far more liberating. Many today carry a similar burden, a hidden struggle against an enemy that feels both internal and utterly alien, the suffocating embrace of panic, the debilitating shadow of post-traumatic stress. We might find ourselves in moments where our hearts race, our breath catches in our throats, and the world around us seems to recede, replaced by a primal terror that whispers of impending doom. It is a profoundly isolating experience, one that can leave us questioning our sanity, our strength, and even the very presence of the God we seek. The sheer intensity of these episodes can be overwhelming, creating a chasm between our outward lives and the silent chaos raging within. This is not an affliction exclusive to those who have faced overt, life-threatening danger. Trauma, in its many forms, leaves its mark, and for some, the echo of that experience manifests as a visceral, physical reaction, a hijacking of the nervous system that can strike without warning. In the aftermath of the terrifying crush that befell Spurgeon and thousands of others at the Surrey Music Hall in 1856, a disaster that claimed lives and left many injured and deeply shaken, he found himself plunged into such a personal abyss. The sheer horror of witnessing such devastation, the weight of responsibility, and the profound sense of human vulnerability coalesced into a crucible of suffering that tested the very foundations of his faith. This is the unseen battle, the internal tremor that accompanies external wounds, and it is a battle that demands not just courage, but a different kind of understanding, one rooted in the quiet wisdom of those who have walked through the fire and emerged, not unscathed, but transformed. Our journey into this sacred space will be one of profound recognition and gentle reclaiming. We will not shy away from the raw intensity of panic, nor will we minimize the profound spiritual desolation it can bring. Instead, we will draw near to the heart of the struggle, seeking solace and strength not in platitudes, but in the deeply personal testimonies of those who have found their way back to peace, even when the storm raged most fiercely. The path from panic to peace is not always a straight or easy one, it is often winding, marked by stumbles and moments of renewed doubt. Yet, it is a path illuminated by the unwavering light of divine love, a love that can reach into the darkest corners of our being and bring forth healing, resilience, and a peace that transcends all understanding. We are invited to explore not just the anatomy of fear, but the anatomy of hope, the divine architecture of comfort that can be discovered even in the most harrowing of circumstances. This exploration is for all who have felt the ground shake beneath them, who have questioned the stillness in the midst of turmoil, and who long to reconnect with a profound sense of inner security and unwavering presence. The very nature of panic can create a profound sense of disconnection, a feeling that the very fabric of reality is unraveling. When the body is seized by its fight-or-flight response, the mind can interpret this as abandonment. It's a cruel trick of the psyche, where the overwhelming physical sensations are mistaken for a withdrawal of divine support. The heart pounds as if to escape the chest, breath becomes a desperate gasp, and the mind races with scenarios of catastrophe. This visceral experience can feel so real, so all-encompassing, that the subtle whisper of God's presence is drowned out by the roaring tempest within. It is in these moments of intense vulnerability that the spirit can feel most adrift, as if cast out into a desolate sea with no shore in sight. The silence that follows a panic attack, or the agonizing wait for the next one, can be filled with the deafening roar of perceived absence. This perceived absence is a deeply deceptive narrative. It paints a picture of a God who has turned away, who has left us to contend with our internal demons alone. Yet, the deepest spiritual wisdom consistently points to the contrary. It suggests that in the very moments we feel most forsaken, we are, in fact, held most closely. The silence is not an indication of divine departure, but rather an invitation to listen more deeply, to attune our hearts to a frequency of peace that lies beneath the surface noise of our fear. This is the foundational truth that can anchor us when the waves of panic threaten to engulf us entirely. It is the quiet assurance that the divine presence is not contingent upon our emotional state, but is an unshakable reality, a constant, unwavering source of strength and solace, closer to us than our very next breath. In the unfolding of our journey, we will lean into this profound paradox, that in our moments of greatest weakness, we are touched by an enduring strength. We will explore the teachings that reveal how the divine operates not by erasing our struggles, but by meeting us within them, transforming our deepest fears into conduits for deeper faith and resilience. This is not about suppressing the experience of panic, but about understanding its nature and discovering the spiritual resources available to navigate through it, emerging with a renewed sense of wholeness and a peace that is anchored not in the absence of struggle, but in the unwavering presence of love. It is within this sacred space that we will find the threads of connection, the luminous pathways that lead from the overwhelming chaos of panic back to the serene harbor of peace. We will explore the profound wisdom that speaks to the nature of our inner landscape, recognizing that the soul, though often obscured by the storms of life, remains an eternal sanctuary of divine light. There are moments when the spirit feels battered, when the weight of our experiences presses down, creating a suffocating stillness that feels more like an absence than a presence. This is the terrain of post-traumatic stress, a landscape where memories can resurface with startling intensity, triggering a visceral response that mimics the original trauma. The body remembers, and in its remembering, it can unleash a torrent of fear, a racing heart, a shortness of breath, a profound sense of dread that leaves us feeling utterly overwhelmed and, at times, disconnected from ourselves and from the divine. Spurgeon, in his own profound struggle following the tragic crush at the Surrey Music Hall, understood this deeply. The sheer terror of that event, the agonizing responsibility he felt, and the overwhelming exposure to human suffering plunged him into a personal darkness. He confessed nights where fear was so potent, so all-consuming, that he doubted he would see the morning light. This is not the language of someone who has never known struggle, it is the confession of a soul that has been profoundly tested, who has grappled with the very real possibility of being overcome. It highlights a universal truth, that even those who minister to others with unwavering faith are not immune to the depths of human suffering and the psychological impact of trauma. Their experiences, far from diminishing their spiritual authority, lend a profound authenticity to their message of hope and resilience. The narrative of spiritual life is often presented as a seamless ascent, a steady journey towards enlightenment. But the reality, as so many of us know, is far more nuanced. It is a journey marked by both peaks of spiritual exhilaration and valleys of profound challenge. The very nature of our humanity means that we are susceptible to the impacts of our experiences, and sometimes, these impacts can manifest as a deep-seated anxiety, a persistent sense of unease, or the sudden, jarring onset of panic. This is where the sacred invitation truly begins, to acknowledge the reality of our inner struggles without shame or judgment, and to approach them with the same gentle curiosity and unwavering compassion we would offer to a beloved friend. Our exploration will delve into the heart of this paradox, how to find stillness amidst the storm, how to hear the gentle whisper of the divine when the roar of fear is deafening. We will unearth the profound insights that speak to the resilience of the human spirit, recognizing that within each of us resides a core of strength, a wellspring of divine connection that can be tapped into, even in the most trying of circumstances. The journey from panic to peace is not about eradicating fear entirely, for fear is a natural human response. Rather, it is about learning to live with it, to understand its language, and to discover the ancient, sacred practices that can help us reclaim our inner equilibrium, to find solid ground beneath our feet when the world feels like it is spinning out of control. It is about remembering that we are never truly alone, even in our darkest moments. We are called to look within, not to dwell in the shadows, but to discover the radiant light that is ever present. The soul's journey is one of constant unfolding, a continuous process of becoming, and sometimes, that unfolding requires us to confront the very aspects of ourselves that we have sought to hide or ignore. This is not a path of forced positivity or a denial of pain. Instead, it is an invitation to embrace the entirety of our experience, to integrate the fragmented pieces of ourselves, and to recognize that true spiritual growth often emerges from the very crucible of our deepest challenges. We will explore how the divine energy, far from being a distant concept, is a tangible force that permeates our being, shaping our awareness and offering profound opportunities for healing and transformation, even in the midst of intense struggle. The heart of our exploration will be to understand that the divine presence is not a reward for perfect behavior or a calm demeanor, but an inherent quality of existence itself. It is the unseen current that flows beneath the surface of our daily lives, a constant source of subtle strength and unwavering love. When we are caught in the grip of panic, this presence can feel obscured, like the sun behind thick clouds. The overwhelming physical sensations, the pounding heart, the constricted breath, the trembling limbs, can create a profound sense of being disconnected from our own bodies, let alone from any divine connection. This is the cruel paradox of fear. It seeks to isolate us, to convince us that we are alone in our suffering, that the source of comfort has receded beyond our reach. Charles Spurgeon's own battle with the aftermath of the 1856 Surrey Music Hall disaster serves as a powerful testament to this struggle. The profound trauma of that event, the visceral experience of witnessing such widespread suffering and loss, plunged him into a period of intense personal crisis. He confessed to experiencing nights where fear was so overwhelming, so paralyzing, that he genuinely feared he would not survive until morning. These were not the words of a man untouched by adversity, they were the honest outpourings of a soul grappling with the raw, unyielding force of trauma and its ability to shake the foundations of one's inner world. It is in such moments of profound vulnerability that the spiritual narrative often finds its most authentic expression, revealing that even those who preach with immense conviction can find themselves wrestling with the darkest aspects of the human condition. Our journey is not about denying the reality of panic or minimizing the pain it causes. Instead, it is an invitation to lean into the profound wisdom that suggests that even in our most disoriented moments, we are held by a love that is more pervasive and more resilient than our fear. The divine energy is not something external that we must strive to attain, it is the very essence of our being, the silent hum of existence that continues even when our conscious awareness is consumed by chaos. This energy, when recognized and embraced, offers a pathway through the storm, a gentle current that can guide us back to a place of inner stillness and profound peace. We will discover how the spiritual forces of presence, gratitude, and surrender are not mere abstract concepts, but potent tools that can reshape our perception of reality and anchor us in a sense of enduring peace, even when the external circumstances remain challenging. The profound wisdom of spiritual traditions across the globe speaks to the concept of an indwelling divine presence, a sacred energy that animates all life. When we are confronted with overwhelming fear, particularly in the context of post-traumatic stress, this connection can feel fractured, as if the very source of our being has been compromised. The physical manifestations of panic, the racing heart, the shallow breath, the overwhelming sense of dread, can create a powerful illusion of isolation, convincing us that we are fundamentally alone in our struggle. This is the narrative that fear weaves, a story of abandonment and insurmountable odds. Yet, the deeper truth, consistently echoed through spiritual teachings, is that this perceived absence is precisely when the divine presence is most intimately at work, holding us, guiding us, and offering a silent strength that transcends our immediate experience. Charles Spurgeon, in his own deeply personal confession of the fear he experienced in the aftermath of the Surrey Music Hall disaster, provides a poignant illustration of this dynamic. He spoke of nights where terror seized him so powerfully that he doubted his own survival. This vulnerability, far from diminishing his stature, lends an extraordinary depth and authenticity to his spiritual insights. It underscores the reality that even those who appear most steadfast in their faith can grapple with profound internal struggles. The trauma of witnessing such immense suffering left an indelible mark, triggering episodes of panic that tested the very bedrock of his conviction. Yet, it was precisely within these moments of profound personal challenge that he discovered the enduring power of divine grace and the profound resilience of the human spirit when anchored in faith. This script aims to draw you into a space of compassionate recognition, acknowledging the very real and often debilitating nature of panic and its connection to past traumas. We will explore how the spiritual energies of presence, gratitude, and surrender are not mere platitudes, but potent forces that can actively reshape our experience of the world and our relationship with ourselves. These energies, when consciously invoked, can act as anchors, tethering us to a deeper reality that lies beyond the turbulent surface of our emotions. They offer a profound pathway towards inner healing, transforming the landscape of our minds and spirits, and ultimately leading us back to a state of grace and profound peace, even when the echoes of past events continue to reverberate. The journey of healing from trauma and the pervasive grip of panic is not about erasing the past, but about transforming our relationship with it. It is about recognizing that the spiritual energy of life, the divine presence that animates all things, is always accessible, even when our emotional state suggests otherwise. Charles Spurgeon's own wrestling with fear after the Surrey Music Hall disaster powerfully illustrates this. He spoke of nights when terror was so overwhelming that he believed he would not survive until morning. This raw honesty reveals a profound truth, that even the most celebrated spiritual figures are not exempt from the profound challenges of human experience. The trauma he witnessed and the burden of responsibility he carried left him vulnerable, plunging him into a personal battle against an internal enemy. This is where the concept of spiritual fatigue enters the picture. When we have endured prolonged periods of stress, anxiety, or emotional upheaval, our inner reserves can become depleted. The constant vigilance required to manage panic, the emotional toll of reliving traumatic memories, and the sheer effort of maintaining a sense of normalcy can leave us feeling exhausted, adrift, and disconnected from our own spiritual core. In these moments, the very idea of surrender can feel like a defeat, an admission of weakness. Yet, it is precisely in this state of perceived depletion that the true power of spiritual surrender begins to reveal itself. It is not about giving up, but about letting go of the struggle to control that which is beyond our immediate grasp. The divine flow, often obscured by the turbulent waters of anxiety, is always present. Healing and restoration are not external events that happen to us, but an internal process that unfolds when we allow ourselves to trust in this deeper current. This trust is cultivated through practices that help us release the tension of resistance, to soften the grip of fear, and to open ourselves to the gentle, restorative power of grace. By consciously choosing to let go of the need to constantly fight against our internal experience, we create space for a profound shift to occur. This is the essence of surrender, a courageous act of faith that acknowledges our limitations while simultaneously recognizing the boundless capacity for healing and renewal that resides within us, guided by a love that is deeper and more enduring than any fear we may encounter. In the quiet moments that follow a storm, whether internal or external, there is an opportunity for profound reorientation. The intense energy of panic, while terrifying, can serve as a potent catalyst for reevaluating our inner landscape and the practices that sustain us. The path from panic to peace is often illuminated by simple yet profound tools that can be woven into the fabric of our daily lives, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for conscious connection and inner resilience. One of the most accessible and transformative practices is the mindful use of the breath. In moments of rising anxiety, consciously returning to the breath, a simple, rhythmic act, can anchor us in the present, interrupting the spiraling thoughts of past trauma or future worry. Repeating short, power-filled verses from sacred texts, such as Psalm 56 verse 3, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you," can serve as a spiritual anchor, a gentle reminder of divine presence amidst the storm. Crucially, healing involves recognizing the symptoms of panic not as a personal failing or a sign of weakness, but as the body's natural, albeit overwhelming, response to perceived threat. This acknowledgement, devoid of self-condemnation, is a profound act of self-compassion. Furthermore, the understanding that we are not isolated in our struggles is vital. The presence of a supportive community, whether spiritual or personal, can offer immense solace and strength. Remembering that we are connected, that others have walked similar paths and found their way through, can dissolve the isolating effects of fear. Engaging in practices that help us bear witness to our experiences, such as journaling, can be incredibly empowering. Documenting our journey, the moments of struggle and the breakthroughs, transforms passive suffering into active testimony, solidifying our progress and reinforcing our resilience. These are not merely techniques, they are sacred rituals for reclaiming our inner peace, for cultivating a conscious presence that can navigate the complexities of life with greater clarity, unwavering attention, and a profound sense of purpose, grounded in the unwavering strength of the divine. As we emerge from the depths of this contemplative journey, carrying the echoes of past struggles and the quiet strength of newfound peace, we stand at the threshold of a renewed presence. The storms of panic may have raged, shaking the very foundations of our being, but they have not diminished the unquenchable light that resides within. We have explored the intricate landscape of fear, acknowledging its power, and yet, we have also discovered the profound resilience that lies dormant within the human spirit, awaiting conscious awakening. The wisdom of those who have walked this path before us, like Charles Spurgeon, reminds us that our deepest vulnerabilities can become the very gateways to our greatest strengths. The peace we seek is not an external acquisition, but an internal cultivation, a deep and abiding connection to the divine essence that surrounds and sustains us. Panic may momentarily shake our physical form, disrupting the calm rhythm of our breath and the steady beat of our hearts. It can create a powerful illusion of being lost, of being utterly alone in a sea of overwhelming emotion. Yet, this outer turmoil does not have the power to extinguish the sacred flame that burns within our soul. When Christ, or the divine presence you connect with, is truly with you, that presence becomes the ultimate guardian of your inner sanctuary. It is the unwavering light that cuts through the darkness, the gentle hand that steadies you when you falter, the silent assurance that you are, and always will be, deeply loved and profoundly held. Therefore, I offer this blessing, may you remember the strength that has carried you thus far. May you embrace the peace that resides within your deepest self, a peace that is not dependent on the absence of challenges, but on the unwavering presence of divine love. May your journey forward be marked by conscious awareness, by moments of deep connection, and by an unshakable trust in the sacred unfolding of your life. You are not defined by your fear, but by your courage to seek the light. You are not broken by your struggles, but made whole by your resilience. Go forth in peace, knowing that you are eternally embraced by the divine, your soul guarded by a love that transcends all understanding. Amen. The profound impact of trauma often manifests not just in acute panic but in a subtle, insidious erosion of self-trust. This isn't about a conscious decision to distrust, rather, it's a deep-seated somatic memory that, when triggered, whispers insidious falsehoods about safety and control. Consider the experience of a sudden, jarring noise, a car backfiring, a door slamming shut, that, for someone with post-traumatic stress, can momentarily transport them back to a moment of extreme danger. In that fraction of a second, the familiar world dissolves, replaced by a visceral threat that feels as real and immediate as the original event. Consequently, the individual's internal compass, once a reliable guide, becomes erratic. They may begin to doubt their own perceptions, questioning whether the threat is truly external or merely a phantom of their activated nervous system. This internal dissonance is profoundly disorienting, creating a schism between the mind's rational understanding and the body's primal alarm. Building on this, however, the healing process necessitates a deliberate recalibration of this damaged internal compass. It requires actively engaging in practices that reinforce present-moment reality, differentiating the echo of past trauma from the current safety of one's environment. Another crucial layer is the recognition that emotional resilience isn't solely about suppressing negative feelings, but about developing an advanced capacity for emotional self-regulation. This involves understanding the physiological feedback loops that contribute to panic, the heart rate elevation, the shallow breathing, the muscle tension, and learning to intercede with targeted, calming physiological interventions. For instance, deliberately slowing the breath, not just by inhaling and exhaling, but by extending the exhalation, signals to the nervous system that the danger has passed, that it can safely downshift from a state of hypervigilance. This is an active, embodied process of reclaiming agency. Furthermore, the spiritual dimension of this healing is paramount. While physiological techniques are vital, the underlying narrative that fear tells, the story of being utterly alone and abandoned, must be countered with an opposing narrative of divine companionship. Think of the scriptural accounts of individuals facing seemingly insurmountable odds, yet finding solace and strength in an unwavering faith. The act of consciously recalling these narratives, or engaging in prayer or meditation that focuses on divine presence, isn't a passive wish, it's an active re-engagement with spiritual truth. This is particularly potent when panic strikes. Rather than being consumed by the immediate threat perception, one can pivot to reciting a short, faith-affirming scripture, such as a verse promising protection or presence. This intentional act of spiritual redirection can serve as a powerful counternarrative, a bulwark against the encroaching tide of fear. Conversely, the temptation during intense panic is to withdraw, to isolate oneself, believing that this isolation will somehow provide safety. However, the reality of spiritual support often lies in connection, not seclusion. Consider the model of communal prayer or support groups, where shared vulnerability fosters collective strength. Even in solitary practice, the spiritual understanding is that one is never truly alone, the divine is an ever-present companion. This requires a conscious effort to bridge the gap between the feeling of isolation and the spiritual truth of interconnectedness. Another crucial layer is the practice of gratitude, not as a forced positivity, but as a deliberate acknowledgement of present blessings, however small. When the mind is fixated on threat, deliberately bringing to mind three things one is grateful for: a safe roof overhead, the ability to breathe, a loving presence in one's life, can subtly shift the energetic frequency, creating a small but significant opening for peace to enter. These practices, when consistently applied, help to rebuild the shattered fragments of self-trust, reinforcing the knowledge that even amidst the most profound internal turbulence, a wellspring of peace and divine support remains accessible. As we stand at this pivotal juncture, reflecting on the intricate tapestry of our inner landscape, the convergence of our explorations begins to illuminate a profound truth. The echoes of fear, once seemingly deafening, now resonate with a different timbre, less as a siren of imminent danger and more as a testament to the enduring resilience of the human spirit. The journey inward, though often fraught with the turbulence of past experiences, has undeniably revealed a deeper current of inner stability, a subtle yet powerful undercurrent of grace that has been present all along, even when obscured by the most tempestuous storms. The threads of our shared contemplation, woven with threads of vulnerability and illuminated by unwavering faith, now coalesce, suggesting a more nuanced understanding of how the profound challenges we face can, paradoxically, become the very conduits for our deepest spiritual growth and enduring peace. Conceptualizing this shift, imagine a vast, intricate map. The initial exploration may have focused on charting the treacherous ravines and shadowed valleys, the very places where panic seemed to hold sway. Yet, with each successive insight, the map has expanded, revealing not just the difficult terrain but the interconnected pathways and hidden springs that offer solace and renewal. The understanding that emerges is not one of erasing the past, but of integrating its lessons, of recognizing that the very act of navigating through hardship inherently strengthens our internal navigation system, making us more attuned to the subtle signals of presence and peace that guide us forward. This evolving perspective invites a reframing of our experiences, moving from a narrative of being overwhelmed to one of being profoundly equipped, having journeyed through the trials and discovered an inner fortitude previously unimagined. In light of these insights, the path toward a settled heart and a resilient spirit becomes not an elusive dream, but an accessible reality, nurtured by the practices and perspectives we have gently explored. As we pivot towards the final reflection, the cumulative effect of these ideas begins to reveal a holistic approach to inner well-being, one that honors both the profound impact of our experiences and the equally profound capacity for healing and transformation that resides within us. The very essence of this inner work lies in recognizing that while the external circumstances may have once dictated our internal state, we possess an ever-present capacity to cultivate an inner sanctuary, a space of profound peace that can withstand the ebb and flow of life's inevitable challenges. This transition is not about reaching an endpoint, but about embracing a continuous process of mindful engagement with our inner world, understanding that the journey itself is a profound expression of our spiritual becoming. The whispers of fear, though potent, can never truly extinguish the inherent light that defines our deepest essence. Our journey through the complexities of panic, through the shadows cast by trauma, has revealed not the fragility of the human spirit, but its remarkable, unyielding capacity for resilience. This is not a resilience born of indifference to pain, but of a profound courage to face it, to understand its language, and to discover the potent spiritual resources that lie dormant within. The very experiences that once threatened to unravel us have, in their passage, woven a stronger fabric of self-awareness, grounding us in a deeper understanding of our own capacity for healing and our innate connection to something far greater than ourselves. The transformation from panic to peace is not a singular event, but a continuous unfolding, a daily practice of returning to the breath, of anchoring ourselves in the present moment, and of consciously choosing to trust in a divine presence that is closer than our own breath. It is the recognition that silence is not absence, but an invitation to listen more deeply to the subtle whispers of grace that guide us through the storm. The energy of divine love, gratitude, and surrender are not abstract concepts to be contemplated in quietude alone, they are active forces that, when invoked, can reshape our internal landscape, turning the echoes of past struggles into the foundational stones of present peace. This profound shift in perspective allows us to move beyond mere survival, embracing a life lived in conscious awareness and sacred attention. Healing, then, becomes less about eradicating the memory of the tempest and more about learning to navigate the waters with a steady hand, guided by an inner compass recalibrated by faith and self-compassion. The steps we've explored, the mindful breath, the grounding of Scripture, the compassionate self-recognition, the embrace of community, and the witnessing of our experiences, are not merely techniques, but sacred rituals that foster a deep and abiding connection to our own inherent wellspring of peace. They are invitations to remember that even in moments of perceived isolation, we are held, cherished, and guided by a love that transcends all fear. The true practice begins now, not in a grand gesture, but in the quiet, consistent reclaiming of our inner sanctuary, one mindful breath, one moment of gratitude, one act of surrender at a time. May this inner peace become the gentle, unwavering light that illuminates your path forward, a testament to the profound strength that resides within your soul.